It
Oh.
tastes like peppermint, and it has a peppermint flavor to it. And uh, as a child, I didn't feel it was good to have a Christmas tree without candy canes. So I like lots of candy on the Christmas
Yeah.
tree.
Yeah.
And the more candy canes, the better, because then there'd be more candy canes to eat after Christmas. So that was a good thing. Yeah. Do you have a candy cane to show Kiet and Brian?
Yes, we have a few
Oh,
different
wow.
candy.
You got lots of
This,
different kind of candy
Oh.
canes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's
That.
really thick ones, and then these ones are
Oh,
smaller.
that's fancy candy canes.
Oh.
That one
Okay.
has even green stripes on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that makes me hungry, Taylor. Now I want to eat a candy cane.
I
Oh,
never.
I'm
I never eat.
Yeah,
sorry.
I never eat that.
yeah,
Yeah, they're really minty.
yeah. They have a peppermint flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good, Kit. Okay, Brian, could you read After Admiring the Tree?
After admiring the tree some more, I went back to my bed. After tucking the covers around me, I heard a terrible crash coming from the living room. Terrified, I knew what the crash was. The Christmas tree had fallen over because I put too many candy canes on one side, and many of our family's precious ornaments
Yeah,
were broken.
precious. Hmm.
Precious
Precious.
ornaments were broken.
Yes. And Brian, what is your most precious possession? What is your most precious possession?
Precious possession.
Hmm.
I don't know what it means.
Yeah,
Uh,
like a precious possession. Like, Taylor, what would you say is your most precious possession?
And probably my Bible would be my most precious possession.
Your
So like
Bible.
something you
Yes,
own that's
yes, yes. And I would say probably the same thing. If there was a fire in my house, the most
yeah.
precious possession I had would be my Bible. So I would take my Bible out.
Yeah.
Even though we could replace a Bible, our own Bible that we read all the time is usually most precious. The only problem, Taylor, is I have four Bibles in my house that I read. So I don't know which one I would take. Maybe all of them.
have to grab them all.
Yeah.
It means that the important thing, like,
Yeah, very important. Usually the most important thing. And we Christians believe, Brian, that the most uh, precious thing we have, it's not a possession, but it's something we have, is our soul, the
Mm.
Tom Hone. Tom Hone, the soul is precious because it's eternal and it goes back to God who gave it to us. And so that would be something that Taylor and I would probably say is the most precious thing we have. But the possession, something physical, would be our Bible, is a possession that we can possess with our hands. We can't possess our soul with our hands, but we could possess our Bible with our hands.
Mm.
But that's a good question, Brian. Very good question. Okay, Kiet, could you read immediately after the crash?
Yes.
Or, I mean, let's see. Yeah, immediately after the crash.
Yes. Immediately after the crash, I heard my dad come out of his bedroom and with some loud cuss words.
Yeah, those are bad words.
Bad
Taylor and I
words.
don't like bad words.
Of his bed. Oh, sorry. He said in a loud voice, "Now, how did that happen?" I closed my eyes and pretended to be asleep. He came in our room where I slept with my sister and brother. No one was awake but me, but I had my eyes closed as if I was asleep. He stood in our doorway for a long time.
Very good. Very good. And Kit, what does it mean to pretend?
Pretend I understand the meaning. Maybe I will give you an example. I don't know how to explain.
That's good. An example is good.
Yeah, maybe I know the truth, but I am pretend I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I don't know how
Đúng
to
rồi.
explain.
Rất đúng.
Thing.
Đúng rồi. Yeah, very good. It's a very good definition. Okay,
Oh,
Brian, could you read Then in the Living Room?
let me know. Come.
Yep. Oh, there's Emiliano. Okay,
Yes.
very good.
Hi,
Uh,
I think we got
Emiliano.
Emiliano with us here.
yes.
Yeah, Emiliano, are you there?
I'm here.
There he is.
Hi.
Very good.
Nice
Yes,
to see you.
we're
Thank
glad
you.
you could join us. Taylor, say hello to Emiliano.
Hi.
Hi.
And Brian, could you say hello to Emiliano?
Hello.
Yeah, hello to
And
Emiliano.
Kit?
Yeah.
Emiliano, could you tell the students today about your meeting Dominic today?
Oh yes. I went to the library this morning, uh, to my English class with Mr. David, and Dominic was there. So we were talking about the when he went to South Korea when he was a soldier.
Oh, wow.
So we were talking about that, and uh, he was talking about his story. When he was on the military, he already was on the church on the
Yeah.
how the
Yeah, he was already a minister.
uh-huh.
He was already a
So,
worker, Taylor.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And he got drafted and he had to go in the army.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Goodness.
And he went to South Korea.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. And um and he was telling you a story, Emiliano, that I never heard him tell before. See, I've known Dominic for 50 years, and I never heard him tell that story about getting a bunk in the army, and he didn't know who was below his bunk. Come to find out it was another worker in the army. And they just by some coincidence were sleeping in the bunk beds together. Dominic was on the top bunk, and his friend Lauren Scow, who's now a worker in Iowa, was on the bottom bunk, and they had no idea they were in the same barracks together. So that
Wow.
was quite a coincidence. Yeah. And Emiliano, can you share with Bailey and with Brian and with Kiet what you did in Mexico at Christmas time as a child?
What I did when I was a child,
Is
Christmas.
in for Christmas? Yes.
Okay. Uh, well, usually when I was a child, we went with my grandparents, and we just have a dinner, and
Mm-hmm.
we usually we never had a presents, just something small like a toy, because the economy there is not really good, as good as here. But yeah, usually we eat some food, Mexican food. The traditional food for Christmas is called tamales and pozole.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we usually eat, and we have a family dinner, and yeah, basically
Yeah.
that's what we did there.
Wow. Nice.
And see, Brian and Kiet, Mexico is a poor country like Vietnam,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but like Vietnam, the economy of Mexico is getting better year by year.
Mm-hmm.
And so, same way with Vietnam, the economy is getting better.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one of my students who came to work in America 6 years ago, she just went back to Hanoi last month.
Oh.
And she said Hanoi has gotten so modern that I will not recognize it. In 10 years, it's changed from what it was 10 years ago. And
Yeah.
so she said there are more cars, there's more traffic jams, and there's more smog, and there's bigger buildings. And we call them skyscrapers, where they're
Ah,
very tall buildings.
skyscraper. Yeah.
Yeah, a skyscraper is like 40 stories high. And
Ah, yeah.
and my student Chi, she said that in Vietnam now there are more skyscrapers than 10 years ago,
Yeah.
especially in Saigon and Hanoi.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna and Emiliano, since you read this lesson today, I'll have you listen to Brian and Kit, and we'll do just the last two paragraphs. So I'll have Brian read one paragraph, but Emiliano, I'm going to have you read the last paragraph that begins with each Christmas, so I could hear you read again. So Brian, could you read Then in the Living Room?
Okay. Then in the living room, Dad put the tree back upright and started wrapping up the broken
Yes,
ornaments with
sweeping.
hand
Yes, sweeping.
sweeping up the broken ornaments with a hand broom and a dustpan. Each minute that went by, I felt more and more guilty. Should I tell him I had been the cause of this terrible disaster, or should I
Keep. Yeah.
keep the silent? I kept silent, but our Christmas tree would never be the same that year.
Yes. Yeah, that that was a sad situation. Emiliano, could you read the last paragraph each Christmas?
Just let me go get my.
Okay. And I think we lost Taylor.
Uh-huh.
Maybe Taylor went to the little girl's room.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that again, please?
Yes. Could you read the last paragraph each Christmas?
Oh, each Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Each Christmas from then on, I wanted to tell my dad I caused the disaster, but I never had the courage nor the honesty. Then, many years later, after I had married, I finally got the courage to tell my dad the truth about me causing the Christmas tree to fall over and crash. Dad, not surprised, said, I knew you did it, David, but I also knew that you felt so bad about it that I never said a thing. Your guilty has punished you until you finally confessed. I forgave you years ago. Now you have to forgive yourself. It is long past, so Merry Christmas, son. So that was my most memorable Christmas.
Yes. It wasn't a good Christmas, but I can remember it because it was so bad. Sometimes we remember bad things just as strongly as we remember good things. But Emiliano, can you define the word confessed?
Confessed?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it means that you tell something about anything to somebody else.
Yeah, and it's usually difficult to do because it's not something we want to tell someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I did something bad by causing the tree to fall over, I wanted to hide it. I didn't want to confess it. So it took me 10 years before I confessed to my dad that I was the one who ruined the Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
And Taylor, she had to leave because she has a headache. And so she said, please forgive her for leaving without saying goodbye. But she had a headache, so
Mm-hmm.
she had to go take some medicine. So
Okay.
she will just talk to you on our next lesson.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
But confess is something that's hard to do, but it does show we're honest when we confess something.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, have you ever had to confess something that was hard for you to confess?
Yeah, but I didn't confess.
Oh, you didn't confess it?
I just keep it in my
Yeah.
and don't. I decided to, you know, don't tell the truth.
Yes. Well, when my wife and I were married, she had a love affair with another man, and um, I didn't know she had a love affair, but she confessed it. She said, "David, there's something I need to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a love affair with another man, and
Mm-hmm.
I I want I want a divorce so I could remarry this other man." Well, that was hard for her to say,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have any choice but to let her go ahead and get a divorce and marry this other man.
Mm-hmm.
But um, it 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 hurt for her to confess it, but it would have been much better for her to confess it than if I found out on my own. Then I would have been angry
Mm-hmm.
and maybe done something violent. And so I'm glad that she confessed it rather than me find out by myself.
Wow, that's very hard to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to say. And another thing that's hard to say is I'm sorry when we're
Mm-hmm.
wrong. It's
Yeah.
hard to say I'm sorry,
Yes.
but it's the right thing to do
Mm-hmm.
to say we're sorry.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, that's one of the things we must do is tell God that we're sorry for making mistakes, for sinning. And that's sometimes very difficult. Kiet, have you ever had to confess something that was difficult for you to confess?
I think I have, but I don't confess. Or maybe I tell a lie.
Yeah.
I tell lie.
Well,
Yeah.
well, we have a word in English, and Emiliano, do you know the word conscience? Do you know what the word conscience means?
Conscience.
Conscience?
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
Can you explain to Tung and Brian what conscience is for Kiet and Brian what a conscience is?
Well, I understand for conscience is when you know the truth. So you always know about something. If you know something about any case,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you are conscious that you have to tell the truth to somebody else. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. The the conscience is a part of us that knows right from wrong. And when we
Oh.
do wrong and we feel guilty for it, even though no one knows it, we know it. And our conscience bothers us. Our
Oh.
conscience tells us, you are wrong, David. You are wrong.
Uh-huh.
And then I have to make it right, either by telling someone I did something wrong or by telling God I did something wrong. Sometimes I do things that are wrong that only God knows. And then I have to tell God, I'm sorry that I did that. Can you forgive me? And God always will forgive us if we confess and tell him we're sorry, then we are forgiven by God. That's one of the principles of what we Christians believe,
Mm-hmm.
that God gives us a conscience, and the more we obey our conscience, the more it demands of us. For example, um, some years ago, I read a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by an American author named Steve Stephen Covey, and it's been translated into Vietnamese
Yes.
and also into Spanish. If you'd like to read it, it's in your language. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I'll send you an email with that title because it's a book that impacted my life drastically, especially about my conscience. For example, I read in the book where he said, if you obey your conscience, it will demand more of you. And the more it demands of you, the better person you will become. And so I read that and I said, okay, I believe that. But I was taking care of my mom who was sick with cancer. And I wanted to make a trip to see my son in California very badly. And my conscience said, stay and take care of your mom. She's sick. But I wanted to see my son. So I told my mom, I'm only going to be gone a week, Mom. And she says, please don't leave me. There's nobody here to take care of me. And I said, well, you could be okay for a week. So I left with her not wanting me to go. She was sick. And so I got about 100 miles away from here on my way driving to California, and my conscience started to really bother me. And my conscience said, go back and take care of your mother. And I said, I've already started on the trip and I want to go. But every mile I drove, I felt worse and worse because my conscience says, go back, take care of your mother. And finally I said, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm very angry with myself
Yeah.
for leaving her. But when I turned around and I made a U-turn where you go back the direction you came, I felt better immediately. And when I got back home, my mom was so happy that I came back home to take care of her because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And something that helped me with that was you in Vietnam. You always take care of your parents and your grandparents because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
And my
Right.
students in Vietnam, they always said, rather than come back and teach in Vietnam, take care of your mother. And I said, but I want to teach in Vietnam. And they said, the right thing to do is to take care of your mother. So see, people in your culture helped me do the right thing by coming home from Vietnam and taking care of my mother for a year. So I was gone from Vietnam for a year while I was here taking care of my mother, but it was the right thing to do. And now I'm glad I did it
Yeah.
because I had a wonderful year with my mother.
Yes.
So that's the conscience
Yes.
caused me to do the right thing.
Yes. The time with your family is the best.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was the best.
Yes.
And in your culture, family is the most important. Same way with Emiliano's culture. In the Mexican culture, family is the most important thing. And Emiliano, could you tell Brian and Kiet about your 3 children?
I have 3 children. My oldest one is 7.
Oh.
Second one is 6, and I have a little baby girl. She's almost 6 months old.
Yes. Very nice.
Emiliano, could you ask your children to come in and say hello to Kiet and Brian?
Yes. Anyway, and then
Did you teach it? Did you teach them English, Emiliano?
Uh,
Hello.
hello.
Hello. Nice to
That's
meet you.
that's a little Emiliano,
Hello.
and then
The
your
mix.
other little boy Emiliano. What is his name?
Emiliano and Dylan.
Dylan. Yeah,
Dylan.
Dylan. Yeah, and would it be possible for your wife to come in and say hello? Oh, what a
Hello.
beautiful baby,
Yeah.
and what a beautiful wife.
Thank
Thank
Oh,
you.
you.
does your wife have a sister that's older that I could meet? Could I meet?
Uh, yes, but they are married.
They're married. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Emiliano, Kit, could you introduce yourself to Emiliano's wife?
Yes, my name is Kit. I'm from Vietnam. I am 24 years old. Yes, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
And
you too.
and and Monica, how old are you?
Uh,
Huh?
con-
29.
Yeah. And Brian, could you introduce yourself to Monica?
Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm from Vietnam.
Hi,
I'm a
Brian.
third year student, university.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Monica, can you see that Brian is sitting on the beach right now, enjoying the warm sunshine? Yeah, he's got a beach in
Relax.
back of him. Yes. And the little baby's name is Monica also. The
Uh-huh.
little baby girl is named Monica like her mother.
Yes.
Very
So
cute. Very cute.
that's
Very
wonderful.
cute.
Thank you.
And maybe little baby Monica could be my student someday.
Oh.
Maybe
Oh,
she could learn English.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, Brian, is there anything you would like to tell Emiliano about Vietnam?
I hope you travel to Vietnam someday because you know it's really. I think um, someone say that Vietnam is peaceful country. If you have a chance, you can travel to Vietnam someday.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have seen videos and documentaries about Vietnam, and they have a very nice places
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
visit there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the food is
the food.
very good.
Yeah, the diversity of food.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
food. Yeah. Emiliano, have you ever eaten pho? Pho is spelled Pho.
Y- Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Have you ever eaten pho? Pho is spelled
Oh yeah,
Pho.
yeah, the soup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Oh yes, of
With
course.
rice noodles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Brian, have you or Kiet ever eaten Mexican food?
No,
Oh,
we don't have
I
a.
heard about the tacos.
Tacos. Yeah.
Tacos. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Tacos are good.
spicy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes because they are in different meats, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you put the sauce, that's the spice of the sauce.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we'll stop here tonight, but this has been a very helpful lesson for me to have three cultures represented here tonight: Vietnam, Mexico, and the United States.
Yes.
This is rich. I love this. I
Yeah.
love having all three of you are serious students. All three of you want to learn English, and all three of you are very dedicated to learning English. And I will teach you as long as I'm alive. And so I just
Yeah.
love to do it. I would pay you to keep learning English.
Thank you very
So
much.
this
Thank
is my
you.
joy. And Emiliano, thank you very much for your Christmas gift today. And
Oh
so
no.
I appreciate everything. So I will see all of you after Christmas is over,
Mhm.
and we'll have another lesson again in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
one more lesson in 2 weeks. And I can say, Tom Biet, adios, and goodbye for now. And Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
And
Yeah.
Thank you.
Goodbye, y'all.
Merry
Okay.
Christmas.
yeah.
And thank you for hosting this on Google Meet, Kit.
Yes.
Bye-bye,
Bye
Brian.
bye. Good
Bye
night to
bye.
you. Bye bye,
Adios,
Good night.
Tom Biet.
Emiliano.
Bye-bye.
Bye.